Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and peace be upon you all. Welcome to today's video. Today's topic is about the difference between guilt and shame. And so the reason why I want to talk about this is because I've seen people confuse the two for each other. And I've seen that confusion create not only spiritual challenges, but also mental and emotional ones as well. And I've seen this as a therapist, but I've also seen this within our community, especially in sometimes the way that we understand shame and guilt within a religious context. And so first, let me define the difference between the two. Guilt is a feeling that we have towards an action, right? Towards a mistake, towards our behavior. It's recognizing a flaw within the behavior or a flaw within the action that we just did. So it's a feeling attached to an action. Whereas shame is a feeling towards yourself. Right? It's not recognizing that there's a flaw within an action or behavior. It's feeling that you yourself are flawed, that you yourself are the mistake, that you yourself are the flaw, right? That something is internally wrong with you. And so they're two very different things. And guilt is something that's a natural feeling that is, ingrained in all of us. It's something that we are all capable of having as human beings, right? And even within guilt, an unhealthy balance of it can be destructive. Too much guilt keeps a person from going towards God. It keeps a person from, wanting to move forward, wanting to improve themselves, right? It cripples the person and it makes them stagnant. So even with guilt, and that's something that's a natural feeling that all human beings are capable of having, that itself is something that needs to be balanced as well, right? And so guilt is within us, because it has a corrective behavior, right? When you have a healthy balance of guilt, feeling guilt should make a person want to improve or recognize when they made a mistake. It's like a navigation system within us, right? It makes us feel when we did something wrong. Shame is something that is, taught to us by our environment. It's not something that we're naturally born with, right? It's not something that's innate. It's something that we're taught. And so whether, people learn this from their environment, upbringing, whatever the case, right? From society, from the messages that we receive, from culture, it could be taught through various avenues. But shame is feeling that you yourself, are the flaw, that something is wrong with you. And that has so many destructive consequences, right? God, in the Quran never teaches us, or even in all the Islamic teachings, or even in any of the teachings of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he never teaches us to feel that we are the flaw. Guilt or feeling remorse for an action within a healthy balance has a corrective component, right? It's there to help us navigate our way. It's there to help us recognize when we made a mistake so that we can improve, right? There's so much hope within the way that we're taught to approach our actions, right? Our mistakes in the Quran and the Sunnah. And that's something that's pure, right? Because there's so much hope in it. There's so much room for us to grow and change, right? Our actions never become us. Our mistakes never become our identity. And God never teaches it that way. He never teaches us to become our mistake. With shame, that's something that's taught to us, it almost teaches us to become our mistakes. It's no longer I recognize a mistake. No, now the mistake consumes me. It becomes my identity, right? And so that's not healthy at all. And having this understanding that, sometimes the way that we're taught religion, or the way that we have interpreted it, or the way that we understand religion, we think that we need to have shame. We need to feel that we ourselves are flawed, that something is wrong with us, that this is going to help us be better, or that, but this is a flawed belief system and it needs to be corrected. Because I've seen shame keep people from going to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I've seen shame keep people from having a healthy relationship with themselves. While guilt has a corrective component that makes somebody want to have hope to change, or recognize that, I made a mistake and I want to change it, shame takes away that hope. Because when you have a lot of shame, when you feel that you're the flaw, when you feel that you are the mistake, you don't feel worthy of change. You don't feel worthy of actually improving. And so God would never teach us to feel that, right? He wants us to always improve. He doesn't want us to become the mistake. He wants us to recognize a sin, but not attack the sinner, right? And this is towards us and towards every other human being. And so we need to learn how to approach our mistakes. It's a really important thing, because if we become our mistakes, if we become our flaws, if we have this skewed understanding, we are creating obstacles between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but also obstacles between us and ourselves, and having a healthy relationship with ourselves and others. And that, that obstacle deprives us of a healthy quality, of a good quality of life. So it's really important to differentiate between the two. And I hope that we empower others to recognize our mistakes, but not to become their mistakes, and not to shame others. And a lot of times we do this as a community, right? We understand the difference between guilt and shame, but the way that we talk to people and the way that we address people's actions, it teaches them shame and not a healthy guilt. So we have a lot of work to do, but it starts with understanding the difference between the two. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Assalamu alaikum.